Rudolf Christian Karl Diesel was a German inventor and mechanical engineer, famous for the invention of the diesel engine, and for his suspicious death at sea. Diesel was born in Paris, France in 1858. He was the second of three children of Elise and Theodor Diesel. His parents were Bavarian immigrants living in Paris. Theodor Diesel, a bookbinder by trade, left his hometown of Augsburg, Bavaria, in 1848. He met his wife, a daughter of a Nuremberg merchant, in Paris in 1855 and became a leather goods manufacturer there. Only few weeks after his birth, Diesel was given away to a Vincennes farmer family, where he spent his first 9 months. When he was returned to his family, they moved into the flat 49 in the Rue de la Fontaine au Roi. At the time, the Diesel family suffered from financial difficulties, thus young Rudolf Diesel had to work in his father's workshop and deliver leather goods to customers using a barrow. He attended a Protestant French school and soon became interested in social questions and technology. Being a very good student, at the age of 12, Diesel received the Société pour l'Instruction élémentaire bronze medal and had plans to enter École Primaire Supérieure in 1870. At the outbreak of the Franco-Prussian War the same year, his family was forced to leave, as were many other Germans. They settled in London, England, where Diesel attended an English school. Before the war's end, however, Diesel's mother sent 12-year-old Rudolf to Augsburg to live with his aunt and uncle, Barbara and Christoph Barnickel, to become fluent in German and to visit the Königliche Kreiskursschule, where his uncle taught mathematics. At the age of 14, Diesel wrote a letter to his parents saying that he wanted to become an engineer. After finishing his basic education at the top of his class in 1873, he enrolled at the newly founded Industrial School of Augsburg. 2 years later, he received a merit scholarship from the Royal Bavarian Polytechnic of Munich, which he accepted against the wishes of his parents, who would rather have seen him start to work. One of Diesel's professors in Munich was Karl von Land. Diesel was unable to graduate with his class in July 1879 because he fell ill with typhoid fever. While waiting for the next examination date, he gained practical engineering experience at the Sulzer Brothers Machine Works in Winterthur, Switzerland. Diesel graduated in January 1880 with highest academic honors and returned to Paris, where he assisted his former Munich professor, Karl von Land, with the design and construction of a modern refrigeration and ice plant. Diesel became the director of the plant 1 year later. In 1883, Diesel married Martha Flasch, and continued to work for Land, gaining numerous patents in both Germany and France. In early 1890, Diesel moved to Berlin with his wife and children, Rudolf Jr., Hedy, and Eugene, to assume management of Lind's corporate research and development department and to join several other corporate boards there. As he was not allowed to use the patents he developed while an employee of Lind's for his own purposes, he expanded beyond the field of refrigeration. He first worked with steam, his research into thermal efficiency and fuel efficiency leading him to build a steam engine using ammonia vapor. During tests, however, the engine exploded and almost killed him. His research into high compression cylinder pressures tested the strength of iron and steel cylinder heads. One exploded during a run-in. He spent many months in a hospital, followed by health and eyesight problems. Ever since attending lectures of Karl von Land, Diesel intended designing an internal combustion engine that could approach the maximum theoretical thermal efficiency of the Carnot cycle. He worked on this idea for several years, and in 1892, he considered his theory to be completed. The same year, Diesel was given the German patent DRP 67207. In 1893, he published a treatise entitled Theory and Construction of a Rational Heat Engine to replace the steam engine and the combustion engines known today, that he had been working on since early 1892. This treatise formed the basis for his work on an invention of the diesel engine. By summer 1893, Diesel had realized that his initial theory was erroneous, which led him to file another patent application for the corrected theory in 1893. Diesel understood thermodynamics and the theoretical and practical constraints on fuel efficiency. He knew that as much as 90% of the energy available in the fuel is wasted in a steam engine. His work in engine design was driven by the goal of much higher efficiency ratios. In his engine, fuel was injected at the end of the compression stroke and was ignited by the high temperature resulting from the compression. From 1893 to 1897, Heinrich von Buzz, director of MAN SE in Augsburg, gave Rudolf Diesel the opportunity to test and develop his ideas. The first successful diesel engine ran in 1897 and is now on display at the German Technical Museum in Munich. Rudolf Diesel obtained patents for his design in Germany and other countries, including the United States. He was inducted into the Automotive Hall of Fame in 1978. On the evening of September 29, 1913, Diesel boarded the Gersteamer SS Dresden in Antwerp on his way to a meeting of the Consolidated Diesel Manufacturing Company in London, England. He took dinner on board the ship and then retired to his cabin at about 10 p.m., leaving word to be called the next morning at 6:15 a.m., but he was never seen alive again. In the morning his cabin was empty and his bed had not been slept in, although his nightshirt was neatly laid out and his watch had been left where it could be seen from the bed. His hat and neatly folded overcoat were discovered beneath the afterdeck railing. 10 days later, the crew of the Dutch boat Koortsen came upon the corpse of a man floating in the North Sea near Norway. The body was in such an advanced state of decomposition that it was unrecognizable, and they did not bring it aboard. Instead, the crew retrieved personal items from the clothing of the dead man, and returned the body to the sea. On 13th of October, these items were identified by Rudolf's son, Eugene Diesel, as belonging to his father. On 14th of October 1913 it was reported that Diesel's body was found at the mouth of the Scheldt by a boatman, but he was forced to throw it overboard because of heavy weather. There are various theories to explain Diesel's death. Certain people, such as his biographer Grosser, and Hans L. Sittauer argue that Rudolf Diesel committed suicide. Another line of thought suggests that he was murdered, given his refusal to grant the German forces the exclusive rights to using his invention. Indeed, Diesel boarded the SS Dresden with the intent of meeting with representatives of the British Royal Navy to discuss the possibility of powering British submarines by diesel engine. He never made it ashore. Yet, evidence is limited for all explanations, and his disappearance and death remain unsolved. Shortly after Diesel's disappearance, his wife Martha opened a bag that her husband had given to her just before his ill-fated voyage, with directions that it should not be opened until the following week. She discovered 200,000 German marks in cash and a number of financial statements indicating that their bank accounts were virtually empty. In a diary Diesel brought with him on the ship, for the date 29th of September 1913, a cross was drawn, possibly indicating death. After Diesel's death, his engine underwent much development and became a very important replacement for the steam piston engine in many applications. Because the diesel engine required a heavier, more robust construction than a gasoline engine, it saw limited use in aviation. However, the diesel engine became widespread in many other applications, such as stationary engines, agricultural machines and off-highway machinery in general, submarines, ships, and much later, locomotives, trucks, and in modern automobiles. The diesel engine has the benefit of running more fuel efficiently than gasoline engines due to much higher compression ratios and longer duration of combustion, which means the temperature rises more slowly, allowing more heat to be converted to mechanical work. Diesel was interested in using coal dust or vegetable oil as fuel, and in fact, his engine was run on peanut oil. Although these fuels were not immediately popular, during 2008 rises in fuel prices, coupled with concerns about oil reserves, have led to the more widespread use of vegetable oil and biodiesel. The primary fuel used in diesel engines is the eponymous diesel fuel, derived from the refinement of crude oil. Diesel is safer to store than gasoline, because its flash point is approximately 175 degrees Fahrenheit higher, and it will not explode.